expansion was discussed both at a committee level and at the board, and ultimately the league office was tasked by our board with doing an in-depth analysis of all the issues around expansion.
When a high-stakes professional basketball game descends into total, uncontrollable chaos, the primary television cameras usually capture the obvious physical drama: the hard shoves, the shrill blown whistles, the technical foul arm gestures, and the frantic head coaches stepping over the sideline in sheer disbelief. But what happens when the real story isn't the physical contact on the hardwood, but rather what was spoken off-camera when nobody realized the broadcast parabolic microphones were still capturing crystal-clear live audio? That exact nightmarish scenario exploded across the sports landscape after an intensely contested matchup turned into an executive-level corporate emergency. What initially appeared to be a standard physical foul between two fierce competitors instantly transformed into a full-scale institutional crisis when a leaked courtside recording surfaced across digital platforms. This unedited audio feed didn't just capture standard competitive trash talk. It laid bare a raw, uncensored, and surprisingly hostile exchange involving head coach Stephanie White, star player Dijonai Carrington, and the officiating crew, completely blowing the lid off months of underlying structural tension. Within hours, the clipped audio spread to every corner of the internet, catching top league executives completely off guard. Reports quickly surfaced that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver was furious behind closed doors, convening urgent emergency sessions to address a situation that threatened to tarnish the league's rapidly rising public brand and damage high-value corporate relationships. But to truly comprehend why this specific audio leak sent shockwaves through executive boardrooms, you have to examine the precise series of events that unfolded on the court floor before the technical system breached containment. The atmosphere inside the packed arena was already primed to explode, with every single possession carrying heavy playoff-style intensity and visible physical edge. Both teams were operating at absolute maximum effort, testing the limits of officiating tolerance, and treating routine regular-season defensive possessions like life-or-death athletic combat. As the game entered its closing minutes, a routine transition drive toward the basket instantly spiraled into a violent physical collision that sent shockwaves through the physical venue. Dijonai Carrington, renowned throughout the basketball community for her relentless, physical defensive style, contested a hard drive near the rim with overwhelming force, bringing her arms down in a sweeping motion that sent the driving offensive player tumbling awkwardly onto the baseline wood. The referee whistles blew instantly, but the shrill sound was immediately swallowed by a deafening combination of bench shouts and crowd uproar. Players rushed into the key, coaching staff members surged past the technical line, and game officials struggled desperately to construct a human barrier between escalating groups. To the millions watching the primary national television feed, it appeared to be standard sports theater: a physical foul, an upcoming video replay review, and a seamless transition into a commercial break. However, behind the operational curtain, an unmonitored secondary audio stream was recording parabolic floor microphones positioned directly adjacent to the scoring table and team benches. That specific audio feed was never supposed to leave the truck, yet a technical malfunction left the raw channel streaming unmuted for a brief, catastrophic 90-second window. And what was captured during those unfiltered seconds left sports radio hosts, digital creators, and hardcore fans completely stunned by its raw hostility. Instead of standard athletic encouragement or routine play calls, the directional microphone captured a tense, totally unscripted verbal confrontation. Stephanie White, standing inches away from the court boundary, voiced immediate, boiling rage regarding the force of the contact, directly accusing opposing players of engaging in unsafe physical maneuvers that put athlete health in direct jeopardy. Her voice pierced through the arena background noise, sharp and commanding, as she demanded that the game crew assert control before the contest devolved into an outright melee. Carrington, never one to recede from an intense physical or verbal challenge, fired back without hesitation, defending her aggressive defensive technique and making it abundantly clear that she would not be lectured or intimidated by opposing coaching staff members. The dialogue was not merely energetic, it was deeply personal, stepping far over the unspoken boundary that separates normal competitive posturing from explicit accusations of reckless, malicious execution. The game officials were caught directly in the line of fire, attempting to enforce order while absorbing extreme heat from both sides of the floor. Unfiltered phrases rang out clearly across the feed, with censored utterances like, "Get this DMN mess under control," and "Don't come at me with that bullshit," reverberating through the raw stream file. The sheer tension was unmistakable, exposing a level of visceral frustration that PR teams actively worked to erase from sports coverage. The real firestorm ignited the second an alert viewer isolated the secondary audio file, clipped the timeline, and uploaded it straight to social media networks. Within minutes of the final horn, the audio snippet had accumulated millions of views across video platforms, setting off an algorithmic chain reaction that dominated sports feeds globally. Sports commentary channels, tactical analysts, and online creators jumped on the file, breaking down every cadence, whisper, and shout with microscopic precision. The sudden surge in audience engagement turned the incident into the single most discussed topic on the web, completely overshadowing the outcome of the game itself and rendering the box score utterly irrelevant. League communications teams attempted to stem the tide by issuing rapid-fire digital takedown notices to scrub the audio from major sharing networks. But, as always occurs in the digital age, their aggressive efforts only accelerated public curiosity. Every deleted clip spawned dozens of mirrors, creating a textbook Streisand effect that pushed the story straight into mainstream television broadcasts. Analysts began heatedly debating whether Carrington's aggressive physical identity was being unfairly targeted by veteran coaching staffs, or if White was completely justified in making a stand to protect her players from potential career-altering injuries. Online forums buzzed with wild speculation that the leak wasn't an accidental technical error at all, but rather an intentional broadcast leak exposed by an insider fed up with league officiating policies. That theory added kerosene to the narrative, converting a sports argument into a high-stakes story concerning digital broadcast security, media rights management, and corporate control. High-level executives working out of league headquarters in New York were reportedly paralyzed by the speed and severity of the viral fallout. Adam Silver, who maintains ultimate oversight over the broader basketball enterprise, was said to be incandescent with anger regarding both the security breakdown and the severe reputational hit sustained by the organization. For a league that spends hundreds of millions of dollars building a polished, family-friendly, global entertainment commodity, having raw, hostile altercations broadcast without censorship represented a catastrophic breach of brand governance. Industry insiders reported that Silver immediately summoned network executives and technical leads to an emergency conference call, demanding exhaustive explanations as to how secondary court-level audio feeds bypassed automated delay systems. The core executive concern extended far beyond coarse language. It struck at the heart of refereeing credibility, brand safety, and the commercial risk of losing blue-chip corporate sponsors who insist on squeaky-clean programming environments. Multi-million-dollar advertising partners paying top dollar for primetime sports real estate do not want their family-friendly products adjacent to uncontrolled, hostility-filled athletic altercations. Internal discussions immediately turned to severe financial penalties, formal reprimands, and potential game suspensions for any participants determined to have crossed league behavioral standards. Yet while league executives panicked over brand preservation and legal exposures, the central figures in the drama were forced to face the press corps. At the mandatory post-game media availability, reporters crammed into the briefing room were eager to ask direct questions about the sideline altercation. But both camps attempted to execute a carefully scripted exercise in PR deflection. When pressed about the physical contact and the heated exchange captured on tape, Stephanie White attempted to de-escalate the situation, attributing the hostility to the natural intensity of high-stakes professional athletics. She stressed that basketball is an inherently emotional sport, and that her sole priority will always be standing up for the physical safety of her athletes, though she meticulously avoided mentioning the leaked audio recording by name. Carrington addressed the media with a calm demeanor, making similar arguments about high-level competition and insisting that elite athletes are naturally going to clash when victory is on the line. She flatly rejected claims of dirty play, arguing that her job is to play with relentless physical energy from edge to edge, and that she would never apologize for competing hard. But despite their polished efforts to project professional calm, the underlying body language told an entirely different story. The visible gulf between their sanitized press statements and the unfiltered hostility heard on the recording only rendered the general public more skeptical. The press briefing felt performative, highlighting the stark contrast between corporate sports management and the real, volatile emotions boiling inside locker rooms. For many months prior to this high-profile incident, players, coaches, and team executives had quietly expressed deep-seated frustration regarding the standard and consistency of officiating across professional basketball. As modern players have grown faster, stronger, and more skilled, game officials face nearly impossible pressure to manage physical contact while preserving a fast, highly entertaining product for broadcast partners. Numerous coaches feel that extreme physical play is frequently overlooked by officials eager to keep play continuous, forcing players to take matters into their own hands to protect themselves on the floor. Conversely, defensive specialists argue that constant whistleblowing stifles the natural flow of competition, penalizing hard-nosed athletic defense and turning games into free-throw shooting contests. The leaked audio touched such a sensitive nerve because it confirmed what fans had long suspected: that these frustrations are not merely tactical debates discussed in post-game reviews, but deeply felt personal conflicts exploding during live play. When a respected veteran head coach feels driven to verbally confront an opposing star player, it indicates a total breakdown in the authority of game officials. The recording exposed an acute structural debate regarding where the boundary between hard physical defense and dangerous athletic play must be drawn, leaving league leaders with no choice but to confront the issue directly. In the days following the viral release, sports talk radio, morning studio shows, and independent podcasts exhaustively analyzed every second of the leaked tape. Former veteran players jumped into the conversation, with many defending Carrington's aggressive play style as standard physical basketball that has existed for decades. They argued that contemporary fans, media members, and corporate executives have become overly sensitive, insisting that sharp trash talk and heated sideline exchanges have always been foundational elements of professional basketball. Other league veterans countered strongly, taking White's side and asserting that player safety must take absolute priority, particularly when modern play speed increases the likelihood of catastrophic injuries. The broader fan base fractured into opposing camps across digital platforms. One contingent praised the unvarnished authenticity of the leak, arguing that hearing real, raw, emotional exchanges makes professional sports exponentially more compelling to watch than packaged PR entertainment. The opposing camp argued that unmonitored court microphones create a toxic environment, unfairly subjecting athletes and coaches to public outrage for split-second decisions made in the heat of combat. Yet regardless of perspective, everyone agreed on one core reality: The leak permanently altered how court-level audio will be managed by sports networks moving forward. Behind the scenes, broadcast engineering teams immediately launched sweeping reviews of floor microphone setups, parabolic array placements, and stream delivery architecture. Technical directors received explicit directives to audit all secondary audio routing pathways to guarantee that unedited ambient mic feeds could never bleed into live internet feeds, secondary language streams, or international downlinks again. League operations sent formal notices to all franchises, sternly reiterating conduct standards near team benches and warning that future verbal standoffs or obscene exchanges would be met with immediate, unannounced fines and potential suspensions. Yet despite these aggressive institutional safeguards, the public's appetite for raw access had already been forever altered. Modern audiences now demand a level of behind-the-scenes access that sports entertainment organizations spend millions of dollars attempting to sanitize. The incident proved that in an era dominated by hyperconnectivity, ubiquitous camera coverage, and high-gain directional microphones, keeping operational secrets or concealing genuine athlete hostility is an almost impossible administrative task. The court floor is no longer an isolated venue. It operates as an open mic arena, where every word, gesture, and physical contest is captured, processed, and broadcast to millions within seconds. As the current season progresses, the fallout from this audio controversy continues to cast a long shadow over both organizations whenever they step onto the hardwood. Every physical whistle, contested rebound, and technical foul is now subjected to intense public scrutiny, with television networks constantly zooming in on bench interactions to catch subtle reactions. Carrington continues to play her signature brand of high-impact basketball, steadfastly refusing to tone down her edge despite constant media focus and opposing fan pressure. White remains singularly focused on steering her roster through a brutal schedule, trying desperately to leave sideline distractions behind. But the cultural precedent established by this audio leak has permanently reconfigured the relationship between live sports performance and the viewing public. It proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the most captivating moments in contemporary sports do not always occur on the digital scoreboard. Frequently, they happen in those brief, unscripted seconds when the microphones remain hot long after the broadcast truck was supposed to cut the feed. Taking a broader view of the contemporary athletic landscape, this high-profile conflict raises fundamental questions about where athlete privacy ends and commercial entertainment begins. As sports media companies continue to push for unprecedented viewer access, outfitting players with micro-pack microphones, placing high-definition cameras inside huddles, and broadcasting locker room preparations, the probability of capturing raw, unscripted moments increases exponentially. Sports leagues desperately want the high-voltage passion, intense rivalries, and dramatic storylines, because those exact elements drive television ratings, streaming subscriptions, and digital ad revenue. However, corporate boards demand those emotional elements delivered in a controlled, highly polished package that completely shields sponsors and maintains brand safety. When real human emotion breaks through that sanitized barrier, the resulting explosive viral moment captivates the public, while horrifying league executives. Adam Silver and his executive team can write strict new regulations, install multi-second delay cutoffs, and fine athletes who step out of line, but they cannot eradicate the fundamental human competitiveness that fuels elite athletics. As long as top-tier athletes risk their bodies for victory, and coaches fight for every strategic advantage, fiery confrontations will occur. The key difference in the modern era is that the entire world is listening with high-powered microphones, waiting to capture the next unscripted moment before the network feed goes dark. The long-term ramifications of this specific audio breach will inevitably extend into future collective bargaining negotiations between player unions and league owners. Athlete representatives are growing increasingly vocal regarding how player voice, personal privacy, and court-level conversations are captured, monetized, and weaponized across digital media platforms. If candid on-court dialogue can be leaked to the public and used to generate viral outrage or trigger league fines, players may demand absolute veto power over media mic pack requests during live gameplay. Head coaches are already adjusting their habits on the sideline, adopting tactics seen in modern soccer and international play, where staff members cover their mouths with clipboards or hands to prevent lip reading and audio capture during heated moments. This ongoing battle between broadcast access demands and athlete privacy rights represents one of the most complex operational challenges facing modern sports executives. Every technical step taken toward providing fans with ultimate access creates massive organizational vulnerabilities for leagues striving to present a unified, highly polished public image.